Hello, my name is John, and for my second environmental health in the news assignment, I'm going to be looking over an article by Amanda Ruggeri titled Climate Change is Supercharging Pollen and Making Allergies Worse. So, as we know, climate change is a major driver of increasing global temperatures, and with this increasing global temperatures, plants, a lot of the pollen producing plants where we get our allergies from, like ragweeds, they're increasing their pollen production with these warmer temperatures and more precipitation events that come with climate change. And along with this, they're also flowering earlier and their pollen seasons are longer, extending into the summer. So the major problem that this article focuses on is the fact that plants are expected to be flowering and producing pollen for longer periods, which of course means that we'll have longer allergy seasons. One of the major stories that this article talks about took place in 2016 in Melbourne, Australia. There were severe thunderstorms and people were hospitalized. Lots of people were hospitalized during this event, and people didn't know why it was happening. People were having allergic reactions. They were unable to breathe, and ultimately 10 people did pass away from this event. And later on, scientists found that it was likely pollen being brought up from the storms, the winds upwards into the atmosphere, broken down up in the sky, and then rained down on people. So when it comes to considering who's going to be affected most by this problem of pollen and climate change, it's likely going to be those with asthma and other respiratory issues, and people who are allergic to these pollens, like ragweeds that experience spring allergies each year. But it could also extend past this and affect people that don't usually have these problems. This is a really important issue to consider with climate change. As climate change steadily increases global temperatures and we're seeing more extreme weather events and precipitation overall, we could expect to see higher pollen production in those allergy seasons. Some of the major articles and studies that this article cited were studies surrounding pollen producing plants that we're allergic to, and with higher carbon dioxide introduction and higher precipitation, they found that those plants were more successful and productive in pollen production. So this article frames the issue as something that is growing and could evolve into something more prevalent and dangerous over time. It's an issue that humanity as a whole will need to address, that being global warming. A lot of the voices in this article and articles that are mentioned are those of environmental health scientists and related professionals. The article doesn't much consider the perspectives of citizens or other related people, and it could be helpful to include those with health problems like asthma or other respiratory issues. One of the major aspects of this that the article considers is the fact that we as humanity, we have things like weather apps where we can see precipitation, temperature, and even websites where we can see current air quality indexes for where we live. But there's really no implementation of a website or system where we could see current pollen levels or risks associated with that locally. So the article talks about how moving forward with growing climate change and potential for higher pollen production, this could be something useful that we as humanity implement. So for me, this article really strengthened the idea that climate change can be unpredictable. There's a lot of unanticipated consequences that could come with it, this pollen issue being one, and it just strengthens the idea that we as humanity need to strive to reduce and mitigate further global warming through our emissions, and seeking to implement systems where we can track things like this that we wouldn't have previously thought about.